All right. Yeah, I've been defeated by Black Myth Wukong. I had to pivot to Dragon Age. I felt like I needed comfort after the ass whooping that game delivered to my ego. So Veilguard is probably out by the time you guys see this video, and that's okay. I don't mind playing games late. I'm not gonna try to chase the zeitgeist. I got mad responsibility in this age of my middle agedness, so I can't keep up with the zeitgeist. I can't keep up with the latest and greatest. But anyway, long story short, I decided to go back and check out Dragon Age Inquisition. I had to ask myself, Jabu, what did you think about this game back in 2014? 10 years ago. It's been 10 whole ass years since I've played Dragon Age Inquisition. I remember loving the game back then. So I had to ask myself, why? What made you like that game so much? Is it because you're a BioWare fan? I mean, it's pretty obvious. I have statues all over my house, and I have them. You can probably see a few of them around. So I am a BioWare fan. I tend to be fans of things that a lot of people hate, like Kingdom Hearts, Mass Effect 3, Final Fantasy 13. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I like what I like, man, and I make no apologies for it. But anyway, I still can't believe it's been 10 years since we had a Dragon Age. I've played all the Dragon Age games. I've enjoyed all of them. I think Inquisition is actually my favorite one. I loved Origins, but I'm not an Origins purist. I know a lot of Dragon Age fans, they'll brag about how much they love Origin and how Origin was the pinnacle of Dragon Age. But to be honest, there are a lot of flaws in Origin. There are a lot of flaws that I didn't want to put up with for a fifth time. I have about 4 playthroughs in Origins. I went back and I played all the DLCs multiple times, right? Because that's just what you do in BioWare games. But for some reason, I didn't do the same thing with Inquisition, and that is simply because at that time, I had this ever-expanding thing we all have called a backlog. So that and current releases at the time prompted me to leave Dragon Age Inquisition after my wonderful playthrough ended. So back then, I was a paladin, man. I was a sword and board paladin. My Inquisitor was Del. I forgot what I named him, but he was pretty dope. So now, anyway, I decided to go the complete opposite of what I normally would play. An elf, yeah, a black elf. I know she's and it's a female black elf. All right, you know what I'm saying? Like I am playing a role-playing game. I am playing the role of a character. It is not me. I don't have to be reflected in every single character that I create or play, and that is 100% okay. But anyway, I just had to run through Inquisition again before I even got started with Veilguard. Veilguard is on its way here as we speak, but I decided to put that on the back burner for Inquisition. So I ended up taking notes. So I'm just gonna run down a few of my favorite things that I found visually interesting in a game that I actually really like. All right, so I'm gonna start off with the environments, right? So environments are a bit tricky. Remember, we're talking about a game that came out 10 years ago. So obviously the polygon count is not gonna be nowhere near the amount that we have today on the PS5 and Series X. And by the way, I'm playing this on the Series X through Game Pass. And I wish I would have played it on the PS5 because I don't like capturing things on the Xbox system because it's easier on the PS5, it's cleaner on the PS5. All right, stop, let me stop the fanboyism. Let me stop the console war rally cries. But it's a 10-year-old game, and the environments are still beautiful, believe it or not. And I see the simplicity within the geometry, and I'm totally fine with that. It reminds me of a time where games were a bit simpler. Like there was just something there's just something pure about Dragon Age Inquisition that I can't put my finger on yet. And I don't think I'm gonna figure out what it is until I finish Veilguard, right? So I just finished Final Fantasy Rebirth and I played Black Myth Wukong, right? And there's something nostalgic, and I know it's from 10 years ago, but there's something nostalgic about the environments in Inquisition that I truly appreciate. Like, yes, some of the trees look plasticky and fake and flat, and some of the shadows are very harsh and heavy in certain situations, but I can still appreciate the immersion that the environments offer. And I am actually captivated by the immersion and the mood, the overall tone of its environments. I remember my original playthrough, I swore on everything that I love that I would never venture and conquer every single activity within the hinterlands. And I failed miserably because I am doing the same exact thing that I did 10 years ago. It is completing every little stupid ass marker that they have dotted on this gigantic map. I remember some people thinking that the hinterlands was the entire game. It was all of Inquisition. Little do they know that's literally like the little starter area. And it still till this day holds up. I also like how Haven looks. Haven it's our fortress in the mountains. It kind of reminds me of where I'm staying. The sky is broken and there's this big, beautiful tear in the sky that's bringing in things through the fade. I actually forgot that this game had mounts. For some reason, I just totally forgot. And in fact, to be honest, I kind of forgot it was this open, to be honest. I thought it was a little bit more linear. I for some reason, maybe it's because I don't really play a lot of Assassin's Creed games and a lot of open world games. So a lot of games I played tend to have big areas, but it's not necessarily open world, even though I've played most of the open world games or the popular ones, right? Like your GTA and Red Dead Redemption and so forth. And even Skyrim, right? But I still wasn't expecting it for some reason in Inquisition, and I am engrossed by it. Like I can't stop traveling around the open world. And like I said, I forgot that mounts were in this game, and I was a little scared of the fact that the first mount that you actually get is slow as watching paint literally dry on your walls. This thing was hella slow. However, I ended up having some DLC horses that were blazing fast. Oh, and speaking about exploring the hinterlands, there's a dwarven little city that I forgot about. I ended up exploring that dwarven city, and man, I really like that city down there. It's this little nice tucked away city, and yes, the reason why you're there, it's not the best of reasons, but it was beautiful nonetheless. And that's another thing that I really appreciate about Dragon Age Inquisition, and a lot of other RPGs too. Even though I'm not the biggest fantasy fan, I like how each and every series has its own distinct language when it comes to the dwarves, especially their architecture. I know a lot of them tend to use a lot of angles, and they tend to use a lot of angles with a lot of stone and metal, and it tends to be on the more weighty, heavy side. Everything is big and kind of cumbersome, but well engineered nonetheless. There's a craftsmanship that goes into the statues and the overall design elements of the dwarves that I just really find fascinating. I think it's called Velamir. I never get the name right. So let me not even try. Okay. So that brings me over to my next thing, right? The characters. Okay, so yes, the game is 10 years old, so things aren't as shiny and cool looking and realistic looking as they are today. Yes, the characters, facial animation still looks stiff and wooden, like we're playing as polygonal puppets. Yes, it's not the best. They can't smile to save their lives, and most of their emotions are not accurately portrayed on their models. And I can forgive all of that because I actually like the character design for most of the characters, including mine, the one that I created. I think she is quite elegant. Cassandra looks rough and tumble. This is the second appearance of Varric. I like how he has his little merchant shirt with his long jacket with the huge cuffs. Solus still looks weird and untrustworthy to me. I still don't trust Solus, and I know what he does in the end. I do remember the main story parts, but I don't remember the nuance of it. And honestly, that is why I decided to play as a female elf, just to see what happens between the romance or within the romance with Solus. Even down to the armor, I can appreciate. I got a few DLC armors, and I actually like the way the armor looks in this game. Yes, it's not as complex as like a Black Myth, but man, it still holds up till this day. It still holds up. One of the DLC armors in particular, it's like the Inquisition dragon armor. It looks really good. It has like gray and gold, and it's just nice. It's just nice. But the stats are pretty much ass on that thing, so I never use it anyway. So speaking of armor, for some reason, man, I just can't get down with the helmets in this game, man. Like they just look too damn big. I'm gonna be honest. Like I had a L helmet. I found a pretty good helmet for Cassandra. And it's literally twice the size of her head. This thing it's a big helmet. For some reason, the helmets are extra large. And I don't know. I just tend to leave helmets off. I don't know, maybe when you get later into the game, you get more slick looking helmets, but the helmets look large and cumbersome, and that's one of the things that I didn't like. And another thing that I didn't like about the armor within Dragon Age Inquisition, and this goes for the rest of this element throughout the game. I used to really like the look of metal, but now seeing the technology that we have now, and I'm not holding it against the game, I'm just saying it's a visual observation, the metal doesn't look like it's finished. It looks like it's still being smelted. What is this? I don't cast iron. I don't know what it's called. It looks like metal liquid. There's something formless about it that it's just the way the texture is, right? And yeah, I know. Yeah, okay, we're in 2024 now, so now we have the technology, and back then we didn't. So I'm gonna excuse it. But for some reason, I still notice it. I still notice it everywhere. The droopy looking metal. It's not done yet. It's not. But and then like some of the hairs is just like kind of clopped on. There's no like motion to it or anything. So you have to expect that when you're playing what's probably considered a retro game now. No, I'm just showing my age. I'm living my best middle age life, man. That's what I'm doing. Anyway. So one of the things that I noticed about the characters, and I noticed this in a lot of games quite often, the NPCs never get the care that the main characters get. And yes, I get it. Resources must be allocated where resources are most needed. I get it. We're gonna see who's in our party way more than the NPC standing by the sword stall, and that's okay. But at some point in the future, I wish NPCs and main characters, party members, would get the same treatment. I hope it's that way in Veilguard. I haven't played the game yet. I can't wait to play it. But I hope this is different in Veilguard, because there's a stark difference between who's in your party and the merchants and the NPCs who are suffering on a daily basis. So I want to see the same treatment. Let's be fair to the NPCs, man. Okay, so on to the combat. Now, for some reason, right, I played I think my last playthrough was over 120 hours. And I didn't really appreciate the tactical combat within Inquisition. I felt like because I played Dragon Age 2, a game that Dragon Age fans hate, right? You know, they probably hate Inquisition 2 and Veilguard or whatever, for whatever reason, right? It's more action oriented, and I'm either here nor there. I do like strategy games as well, but I also like action games. I'm dead center. I'm dead in between both of those. So the tactical combat in this game, I don't think it was appreciated the first time I played the game. And now I really like using the tactics mode and pushing the right trigger to move time along, letting it go to let time stop, make my moves, and I think it's just wonderful. And to top it off, I really like the way the UI is handled. Everything is readable, even though there's a ton of effects going on with the magic and stuff. I think it's still a well-designed combat interface, and I can really appreciate that. But on the flip side, the action also looks pretty good. In particular, I really like the way the mage casting cast. I like the staff and the spinning around and the slamming it down, lightning bolts flying out. I just think it's gorgeous. I love it, man. In fact, I will go as far as to say the only one that I pretty much don't like, I don't like the arrow. In fact, I ended up restarting my character just to play as a mage. I was a archer at first. I don't really like the redundancy of constantly seeing the bullpen pull back. I wish they would have done something a bit more interesting with the archers, similar to what they did with the staves and the swords and the two-hand weapons. I think that would have been much better. But essentially, all the combat animations I really appreciate. They feel impactful, especially when you're just playing in the action mode. I think it's great. It's great. So one of the things that I kind of don't like about Inquisitions, one of the things I kind of don't like about Inquisition's combat though, at least in terms of the looks, is sometimes the characters, your party members, they'll get stuck on things trying to pathfind and step on certain things, and they look kind of wonky doing it. So sometimes the animation can be a little bit off. But like I said, these rigs are from 10 years ago. So the fact that they still kind of hold up till this day is a testament to just how good they were crafted. It was good job, BioWare. You know what you're doing. That brings me on to my last and final thing that I actually like. Okay, I really like the look of the UI in this game, right? I like the typography in this game. I think it's very beautiful, and it's very fitting given the fact that we're dealing and talking about the Inquisitors in the Inquisition. I think it's very fitting that we have serif fonts that are bold and heavy. I love that, right? I love all of the little icons, the battle icons, and I know this came from Dragon Age 2, but I still appreciate them in Inquisition. I think they're very easy to understand out of your peripheral when you're in the middle of combat, and you can kind of like not look down, but just kind of glance down and know what's off of cooldown because the icon is designed so well. I think that's just great. Another thing, they have these amazing looking cards, and I'm gonna next week I'm gonna bring out my collector's edition. I have to go through mad boxes downstairs to find it, but that's gonna be next week's video. They have these cards. They're almost like tarot cards, right? The artwork on those things are so good. I mean, like everyone has a character card. Like the villains have like the villain cards, and like they're cards about Inquisition, and they look fantastic. Love those things. So we're gonna dive more into that next week. I call them lore cards. That's probably not what they're called. Okay, so that's everything that I noticed that I really appreciate, or things that I appreciated the most while playing Inquisition, Dragon Age Inquisition a second time. For those of you who are playing Veilguard, let your boy know how it's going. What class did you choose? What race did you choose? How are you enjoying the game? Be honest, be honest. If it's trash, be like, Jabu, man, they dropped the ball, bro. I'm sorry, bro, you playing Inquisition for no reason. Anyway, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Jabulani Ori, artist extraordinaire, and I love to talk about the visuals in games. If you're interested, you can find all my work on my website, jahbu.com. I have my entire collection. I have my entire collection of paintings over there, so please go over there and have a gander if you want to see what I do professionally. If you are on social media, particularly Instagram and TikTok, I am just JAHBU_ART, Jabu_art on there. Give me a follow, give me a like, or whatever you do. Yeah, no. Until next time, my people, fill up the comment section. I'm loving the comments. Shout out to everyone who left a comment on my Final Fantasy VII Rebirth visual review. That made my day. I am still getting comments. That video is doing well for me, a microscopic YouTuber. So I gotta say thank you to all you guys. Much appreciated. So until next time, my wonderful people, one love. Peace.